Have you ever been afraid? I mean, bone crushing, paralyzing fear. If you have, then you're just like me because I have been in that same situation time and time again as I've worked through growing our company. And you're in good company if that's you because I've worked through those and I'm going to share some of those methods that I use for working through fearful situations while running a small business. My name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations. My wife and I own and operate a translation and interpretation and digital services company. We're prime contractors for the United States government and other entities around the world. I want to share with you some of the methods that we've used to help us transcend that fear scenario whenever we get to it. So, step number one, whenever I'm faced with a fearful situation, I go back to what is true. Facts are your friends. John Geloni says, facts are your friends when you're afraid. And that is a vital part of working through a fearful situation. When you have to meet payroll on Friday and you're afraid about how you're going to meet payroll for the next 6 Fridays that are coming ahead of you, and you're like, how am I going to do this? Facts are your friend. Okay, you look back on the past year, 12 months. How many times in the past 12 months have I missed payroll? How many times have I not been able to pay payroll? How many times, depending on how long you've been in business, how many times in the past, maybe you've been in business for longer, 5 years, have I not been able to make payroll on Friday? And yet you're still afraid that you're not able to make payroll on Friday when you've probably never missed. But still, there's a paralyzing fear that you might not be able to make it. So facts are your friend. You must take and write down the facts, look at the facts, and digest them all mentally and spiritually. Because so many of the times when we're dealing with a situation that is fearful, we can bring in the logical understanding that everything's okay, but we don't accept it in our heart. And I think more than anything, the fear comes up out of our hearts into our minds and distorts our view of what is true. And that's why facts are your friend. The second thing that I do when I'm really afraid or facing something that's more broad in its application across our company, maybe it affects multiple departments or multiple teams, or maybe multiple team members, or business relationships or contracts, or it's kind of a broad and it's kind of further stretching. The second thing I do is I write myself a report. And again, I get the facts and then I write myself a report. Sometimes I just use a pen and paper and I just write it down by hand. I'm a tactile writer kind of person and I like to put things on paper and it helps me process it. And so once I write it down, the actual facts that are true about it, writing myself a report, and it doesn't matter the format. There is no right format. The format is up to you. It can be like letter format. It can have a bullet points. It can have statements. It can have whatever you want. It has to be for you, specifically your style, writing yourself a report about the situation. And typically, by the time I get to the end, I've listed all the things that I'm afraid of. I've listed all the true facts that I know. I've listed the things that I don't know and things that I can get more information around and maybe help me understand better what the true facts are. And then I have a conclusion where it's like, okay, so this is a conclusion. I need to learn this. I need to talk to these people. I need to review this contract. And I need to change this in my finances so that we can make sure that all of these things are in alignment and we can take care of the needs. So writing yourself a report is step number 2. So tool number 3 is that on a very consistent basis. So for me, it's daily. There's a paper that I have on my desk that has 15 points that are true. And because I'm a Christian, my truths come from the Bible. And you can write down and get your truths from wherever you think that's most adequate. But I choose to get my truths from the Bible. And so I have 15 points of areas that sometimes I've struggled with in the past. And I write down the thing, like I believe the best in others because Jesus believed the best in me, right? So I write, that's something that's true. Jesus believed that Jesus had compassion on me, so I'm going to have compassion on others. So some of these things I've written just like that. I've taken out some things that I've struggled with, or when I've been afraid about finances. My God is an abundant God who provides for every need. So I don't fear about finances. And like all of these very specific points that I've struggled with in my own life, and there you have some specific points in your life that you struggled with, and I write down the thing that I struggled with, and then I find a truth in God's word, in the Bible, that provides the facts around what is true about my God who I believe in, and then I repeat that to myself every single day. When I come to work, this paper is laying on my desk. I pick it up, I read it to myself, and then I carry on throughout my day. And this is something that I learned from Craig Rochelle. He's a pastor, I think, in Ohio or Oklahoma. He talked about the importance of setting your mind daily on truth. And so when you set your mind daily on truth, it helps you eliminate many fearful situations and be prepared for working through them. When I was in the military, we did training. We trained nonstop. We trained and trained and trained. And sometimes you got so sick of training, you just couldn't stand another day. But you went because you had to, and otherwise you'd be kicked out of the military, and that would be very dishonorable. So you went again and again and again. But the reason we did training was so that when we encountered danger, life-threatening disaster situations, our minds and our bodies would resort immediately to muscle memory. We knew exactly what to do. There was no question. We do this, this, and this. We follow this procedure. We do this, everything one after another. It's drilled into your brain and your muscles. Even your body knows what to do, even if you're not thinking. I remember I used to sing the national anthem at many military events in Ramstein, Germany. And when I would sing the national anthem, sometimes the ceremony would not go the way it was supposed to. And because I had practiced so many times over the years, my body could simply sing without me even engaging my brain, because I had practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And you know the mechanism and how it works because you've done it in other areas of life. When you're in your school, or when you're training for something, or when you're lifting weights, or when you're running, or whatever it is, you know the method and you know how it works because you've done it in other areas. But so often we forego that. We forget to do that in areas that truly matter and impact our lives the deepest and the most powerfully. And that is in the area of fear, overcoming fear, the consistent daily reminder pointing back to what is true and making sure you have a firm foundation and a clear mind as to what is true, and you get rid of the fog and all of the other voices that are coming through the 30 screens that we're looking at each day, saying you should be afraid of this, you should watch out for this, you should be afraid of this, you should be afraid of this. All right, so that's the third thing I do. Now I'm going to give you one bonus thing that I do, and that's very, very important to me. This is a bonus, and that is stop watching as much media as you possibly can. If you have a friend, or you have a spouse, or you have family members who can tell you the information that you need to know so that in case something bad is happening, you'll be okay. Ask them to monitor media for you and tell them that it makes you stressed out and afraid, and say, I don't need you to give me advice like how to deal with it, but what I'm doing is I'm not watching the news anymore for a long time, or I'm just not watching the news altogether. Frankly, I personally don't watch the news. I don't watch media. I don't watch the news. And my wife does, though, because she can watch everything. It doesn't bother her. It doesn't make her afraid. It doesn't do anything. It's like she is not affected one way or another. But I am. When I watch negative things, or when I see the injustices, and I just get all bent up inside, and I just get angry. And I recognize this about myself. And I said, okay, if this is true, I can just choose to stop. So I stopped. So I stopped watching it. And I have somebody in my life who can help me work through that. If I need information, she's got it. my wife has got it. So that's covered. We're good. I've been living like this for about 12 years now, and nothing evil or bad or life threatening has happened to me. We're good, and the system works. So that's my bonus. My bonus advice for today: if you're the type of person like me who sees injustice out in the marketplace and in the world and in different places, and it rocks you to your core, it makes you angry all the time and upset, just stop. You can just stop. And I just want to free somebody out there today. Just stop, and you'll be a much happier person and probably much more productive for it and more influential on the people around you, because you're actually using your great talents that you have to invest in life. If this has helped you, or if you think this would be helpful for somebody else that you know that operates a small business, or that it wants to start a small business and needs more information and needs some training on how to prepare themselves for the days ahead, please send this video to them. Please like and subscribe to this video so that we can share more of this content and that we can make it more relevant. When you like and subscribe, it just helps the algorithms to see that the content was valuable, and it broadcasts it to further audiences. So please help us by doing that, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.